Oh, well, thanks, Amy Rose. Yeah, so it's been a big morning so far. I've loved listening to some of the other panelists. And one thing that occurred to me about hosting this panel is just the ubiquity of data and how important it is. And everyone knows I love a good quote. And the top three data quotes that I could find is without big data, you're blind and deaf and in the middle of a freeway. Nothing could be truer than that. In God we trust, all others bring data. And the third one that I thought was really relevant for today is data is the new oil. So, what those quotes really mean is speaking to what Amy Rose said, the risk and the opportunity associated with this brand new data world, decentralized data. Got a really exciting set of panelists here, and I might get each of them to introduce themselves, Ryan, Craig, and Simon. So, Ryan, do you want to kick off and let everyone know who you are and what your skin in the game is for data?
Thanks, Lisa. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. But yeah, great to be here and looking forward to this panel discussion. My name's Ryan. I'm a co-founder at Verida, and Verida provides data infrastructure for the ownership of personal data, and increasingly we're really focused on the use case of that personal private data in AI use cases where we can create things like personalization and also privacy assurances for business and enterprise around the use of proprietary data in their systems. So great to be here.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And Craig?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Craig Bricknell, and I'm the CEO and Managing Director of Future CX. We're a decentralized data storage and data security company, uh, I'm a founder. We started in 2019, and we've been working on securing data since then. And we've come a long way, and now we've got some exciting technology called zero knowledge proof integrated into our decentralized storage and data security systems. So that's where we're heading.
Great. Giving us the sat nav on the freeway, hey? And Simon?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, first of all, let me just say thanks to CloudTech for allowing me to use the beautiful Australian National NFT Gallery to do my interview from. So I'm very grateful for them. Just in terms of who I am, I'm the CEO at Fableration. We're a decentralized publishing ecosystem that combines the power of communities with the fairness of blockchain and the guardianship that AI can bring to consumers in that environment. So we consider ourselves as bringing about a publishing renaissance. Renaissance as opposed to revolution. We're not bringing pitchforks and fire out. What we're doing is we're trying to change the way that people look at information and bring us back to the ways that we used to share information before today's age.
Amazing. Thank you. I can't wait to unpack that a little bit more. I do love the Fableration project. Let's just start sort of at the beginning because data is a very old thing now. I mean, I'm 52. We've been mining data from exchanges for as long as I can remember with spreadsheets and the like. So the first question is really for everyone on the panel, but I think Ryan will probably want to grab this. What's this shift that's happening from centralized to decentralized data control and storage? And what does that really mean for, I think you talked about the individual. What does that mean for everybody on this call in terms of their individual data or their business data?
Yeah, I think that's a great question and certainly an interesting trend because we're at this kind of moment where a lot of the projects and some of us here on the panel have really been pushing this sort of decentralization capability and development of infrastructure to give greater ownership and resilience around that personal data and private data as well. I think we're at a kind of a watershed moment the last sort of 18 to 24 months where we're really seeing the Gen AI tools and their use of data more broadly and just the importance of that alongside compute. And that's really sort of turbocharged, I think, the question around privacy assurances, how that data is being handled, who's seeing that data and how it's ultimately being used, and whether there's any kind of benefit going back to the creators of that data in the first place. So we certainly have the existing data platforms and sort of Web 2 big tech providers who really have the majority of that data, but that data is the aggregation of individual creations. So it's really this emerging sort of decentralized infrastructure is exploring, what can we build in terms of tools and applications to give individuals greater control over the data that they've created and contributed to those platforms in the first place. And then how can they use that for their benefit to have personalization or some specific use case that's of benefit to them or in a business context as well. So there's certainly a growing number of projects in sort of this decentralized AI or DAI. Lots of terms and acronyms that get thrown around, but there's certainly an increasing shift, and I think that's a great opportunity for individuals to become more aware of what data may be consumed by Gen AI tools and the models behind them, and then what options they have to really get use out of the data that they have been creating over for some time now.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I think we might get into that benefit piece a little bit more and unpack that a little bit deeper because I'm interested in your views on that. But I think, Craig, did you want to have a crack at this question too?
Yeah, you're quite right. Data's been around for a long time now. And it's evolved as something that is just so important and integral to everything that we do. Our data is everything. And we've looked at the way data's been managed, and we went into the decentralized way of storing data. And our project has been around providing security to both individuals, company, and governments in a way that they can secure their data and make it more bulletproof for the future. The problem that we saw in this whole area of data security was for everybody was that the current way that we secure our data doesn't work anymore. And it's a pretty big statement, but the reality is there are databases being broken into, hacked, stolen, deleted, ransomware, the whole thing. We all know about it. It's going on every day. We're working with the Sri Lankan government. They lost their whole medical database as one example. So we looked at it and we said, well, what can we do differently? So decentralization of data was something that we were very excited about a few years ago, and we got involved with it. So did several other projects. We looked at it and we thought, how can we secure this decentralized data and provide security for everybody and give them control over their own data, and that for both individuals and everybody and government. So we looked at involving zero knowledge proof in the whole equation as well. So what that means is that you're no longer handing over when you store your data. At the moment, you hand over your password and your username. Essentially, it's stored with your data, so it's there. It's vulnerable. It can be gotten to. With zero knowledge proof, you don't hand over your password or username. There is no password or username. You have a slightly different mechanism where you can store your data, save it, own it, have complete control of it, and no one but you can access it. Because when you go to retrieve your data, you're basically saying to the server at the other end, I'm me. I'm not going to tell you who I am. I'm not going to give you any information about ourselves, but I own that data, and the server's going to accept that that's the case and I can access my data. That's it in a simple term. So that's where we've gone, and that's our difference. There is no one else doing this with data security and data storage anywhere in the world, and we've just done it. We've brought it to market. We're working with government at the moment, Sri Lankan government. They're talking to us about securing the whole government database, and that'll be a wonderful test case if that comes through. But for the individual, we've also brought that as an app so that you can store your data using your device, which maps your computer chip on your phone. And there's a prover that you've already proven who you are to, that you can then store your data and retrieve it at will, and no one else can access it and get to that data except you. And the beauty of all of this is when the data is stored, and this is what makes it secure, this is what's going to make it future-proof against AI and quantum when it comes together, is that the data is put on the blockchain, secured with zero knowledge proof. It's chunked, it's broken up into lots of little pieces and stored in nodes all around the world. So it's got disaster recovery built into it. And no one else is doing that. They're doing it to a point, putting data, decentralizing it, putting on the blockchain. But they're not thinking about the next step. What happens when Gen AI gets together with quantum computing? I think our security protocols that exist in the world today will last about 10 minutes before they're all broken.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'd love to unpack that a little bit more, but we might sort of, because I think for us data geeks, we'd like you to compare to some of the other data projects in the world. But I just wanted to talk about that individual piece again and the data sovereignty, and that's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? And then just tapping into authorship. And Simon, your project is obviously groundbreaking in the creative writing space. Did you want to share with us just a little bit about how Fableration looks at data and data usage, and how you see the authorship of the data being protected?
Yeah, sure. I think for us, our perspective comes from users rather than people who are storers of data. So at Fableration, what we're doing is we're challenging the kind of centralized recommendations that trap readers into always reading more of the same. You know, from our perspective, we want to free people to read the kind of things they want to, rather than the things that people pay for them to read. So we're using data for good to allow users to curate their own pathway. We want them to be able to produce the results they want to see. And we're using AI and a natural language model to make that possible. If you like, what we think of it as is decentralized discovery. So rather than the manipulative centralized algorithms we see across so many platforms today, what we're looking to do is to move to a dynamic, organic, and user-controlled discovery. If you like, it's a different relationship with data. It's pull versus push. On social media and online purchasing platforms, the content is pushed out to users based on what the algorithm knows about them. It collates them into handy groups and then allows them to be targeted for marketing purposes, which obviously makes significant revenue for the people with the data. But how is that responsible usage of data by anybody to be able to sell people's data so they can be targeted in that way? On Fableration, we see users pulling information. So in our case, the information is books rather than user information. And they pull that information based on what they want to see rather than what group they belong in. So for us, when we talk about data, it's in the books that are submitted to us, not the information on our users.
Amazing. So really that shift from the attention economy to the knowledge economy, that's quite amazing. Thank you. I did want to just go a little bit more into, I think there's quite a few crypto geeks on this call, and ZK rollups, and Craig, you did touch on the use of those at the beginning, and I think yourself and Ryan are using those quite a lot. I just want to be a little bit even adding to the use case of them, just maybe talking about the costs of that, and any walls that you're coming up or any headwinds, because I think it's important to discuss all aspects of this topic. Craig, did you want to jump in first?
Yeah, absolutely. We use ZK rollups. We found it to be cost effective. It allows us to focus on what we do better. We use a ZK rollup. We find it extremely easy to use. It allows us to look after our blockchain, manage that blockchain without us having to do all of the basic work ourselves. So that allows us to focus on our other side of things, where we're talking about the data security and the zero knowledge proofs. So that our team gets to work on the pointy end of the stuff up against the cliff. And ZK rollups have been extremely successful for us. They've made it easy. It's simple, and it's a case of one project working with another project and helping each other out. From a cost perspective, as I said, it's extremely cost effective. We don't have to have a team of people doing what they've already done, and it works.
Great, thank you. And Ryan, did you want to?
Yeah, I think there's, I mean, you can think of sort of zero knowledge, and there's a number of different technologies within that. And yeah, ZK rollups Certainly, there's a proliferation of ZK rollups in terms of layer 2 blockchains at the moment. And that's really great for providing more block space, essentially, when you're posting things on chain. And the speed and cost of that is certainly probably like a 10x or more on where those first generation L1 layer 1 blockchains were. So I think the ZK rollups provide a critical piece of infrastructure in terms of the blockchain and the compute piece when you think about the broader AI infrastructure map in terms of those different technologies. And then there's also, which I think Craig touched on, there's like zero knowledge proofs as well, which are integrated as well on the Verida storage network. We do that through a couple of different protocols, one called Reclaim Protocol and one called ZK Pass, and that essentially allows someone to prove, and it sounds similar, I think, Craig, potentially what you've got in your infrastructure, to prove ownership of a piece of data or a particular account that you may have, receive a proof for that, and then store that proof, but not the original data. And that can be verified that you are the owner through the signature on your private key. And that data can be used in various different use cases to show identity or build reputation, or other kinds of personalization, depending what the application is building. So I think zero knowledge broadly, there's lots of different technologies that play a really critical role in terms of AI and data sovereignty for individuals, and that's really important for that research and development and the implementation to progress to really unlock further benefits.
Amazing. And I feel like it's part of my job here today to give a voice to the chat. So we've got Mark Montfort has weighed in with ZKPs for the win. Go, Mark. And we do have a question in the Q&A. So I'd like to acknowledge this question. And it's probably going to step us in very elegantly. Obviously, regulation is anything everybody talks about in the role of government in our industry. And one of the questions from the crowd is it possible through DLT to enable the usage of financial support from government for collecting individual and private data while using it in an aggregate manner? Oh, I forgot, this question's quite long. Manner, securing the privacy of the individual. So I'm just reading that to be, what role can the government play? And how could individuals trust such a system? So I'll just open that up to jump ball. I think everybody will probably have an opinion about the role of government in this.
We'll go first. So, yes, government does have a role to play here. We think it's really important that government everywhere comes up with a structure and a system that makes things regulated. So there's rules to play by. And what those rules look like, who knows how it'll end up. Certainly in our space right now, we talk to various customers and they say, well, look, are you certified? Do you meet this regulation, X, Y, Z? And the simple fact of the matter is, when you talk about decentralized data storage in our area and zero knowledge proof, there is no regulations. There are no standards because it's so new. Everybody's still wrapping their heads around it. So yes, government is very important. It provides a stable playing field for everybody. Everybody knows what you're up against. You know that whatever you do will be approved. And I think that's really important for business. From the business side of things, you need to know what rules you're playing by.
Amazing, thank you. And Ryan, did you want to jump in there before I've got another question?
Oh, no,
all right. Well,
sorry,
okay.
so I'm mute then.
We'll let you answer now.
I mean, the governments, they hold a plethora of information about, all of us as individuals, as citizens. So, how that, there is certainly, in my view, there's a lack of transparency on how that data is secured and used and aggregated and profiled or whatever they might be doing with it. So, Can DLT play a role in doing that better? Most certainly, I think, because that would enable some level of transparency, but it may also open up new risks as well because there's so many risks with the current sort of architecture. So you're trusting the government to implement something effectively, which you don't want any kind of privacy leakage at all, especially with a blockchain technology. So it would have to be done appropriately and very rigorously. So I don't know. Maybe is the short answer. I think it's just better for individuals to be able to access all that data, and then they can do interesting things with that data, whether it's your health data or tax, financial stuff, or whatever other records it may be. So my view, it's one, ensuring individuals have access to that, and then two, what are the governments doing to ensure that their systems are as secure as possible, and there's that transparency in how that data is handled on their side. Because yeah, they're a massive central data repository.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I do want to finish on a high with the data is the new oil quote and the opportunity that we're staring into. And I think, Ryan, you started us off first with this benefit to people. And Simon, I'm really interested in the Fableration project and the benefit you're bringing to the writers in particular. But I mean, the question's open to you on how Fableration brings that benefit.
Yeah, sure. I think if we think about the publishing industry and the way the publishing industry works, it's been the same for the last 100, 200 years. There's been innovations that happen, and we've seen a rise in self-publishing. But what we've done is we've replicated the existing problems within the industry rather than solve new ones. What we see is that by using a combination of blockchain technology and AI, we can actually bring fairness and transparency, obviously from a blockchain perspective, but also independence and scalability from an AI perspective that we believe can bring more quality literature to market and help authors to find an audience, or authors and publishers to find an audience. And so what we believe is that by using those kind of technologies, we can make great knowledge, great reading, great books more discoverable than it ever been. Which means that we can then facilitate the sharing of stories well into the next century.
Amazing, thank you. And Ryan, you were touching on the opportunity at the beginning. Do you sort of have a laundry list of benefits that could come to the individual and businesses? I really wanted to get in under that.
I think it's I mean, I'm sort of fully bullish on personalization and AI personalization, and I think that's the real future that really opens up that agentic economy where we can have digital twins, people acting on our behalf to really increase our own personal productivity, and then also boost economic productivity as a whole. And that is all predicated on leveraging data, pools of data. And that can, again, be in a business context and the data the business owns, or it can be in individual context and the data that I own. But to enable those agents to do things on our behalf, they need to know who we are and have some history and context. So that may be my inbox. It may be what I'm watching on YouTube. It may be what I'm listening to on Spotify, or it may be knowledge that I'm capturing in Notion. So there's all these disparate gated data bases, essentially, and the AI tools or the agents will need access to them in a safe, privacy-preserving way to enable those productivity enhancements. So we need to build the pipelines for that and the tools and the infrastructure. And then I think that will really enable some monumental sort of productivity benefits where these agents, these twins, these digital twins, these assistants can really understand who you are and what you're trying to achieve, and then personalize the actions and outcomes for that context.
Yeah, interesting. I do want to go back to that digital twin concept, but Craig, did you want to weigh in on the benefits to individuals and businesses?
Absolutely, Ryan. I couldn't agree with you anymore. AI and agentic agents, they're here to stay, and they are wonderful. I think that what the future looks like with that technology, we're still discovering that. We're still trying to work it out. We certainly see that as something that we need to secure. So, individualized personal data is going to be even more and more relevant. And that's what we're working towards securing so that you can implement all of these technologies and stay in control and protect yourself. It's something that's really important for us. And we're just looking at that at the moment, that how we put that into our product range.
Yeah, amazing.
You know,
Okay,
we are looking at things like, Simon, you're looking at, how you protected, data for provide services to your people who are, writing and doing all that sort of stuff. With the layer underneath that, we're trying to figure out a way to go forward with AI existing now to secure everything so that you can have that stable, secure, protected, and own it and control it for the individual.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, Simon, I think one of my biggest challenges in life, I'm kind of joking here, is I think we're all overwhelmed by the amount of volume of information we have to filter through. So with Fableration, how does that benefit the reader? I know we talked about the writer.
Well, it's quite straightforward, really. I mean, I talked about the scalability and the access to data that AI can bring that it's never had before. If you imagine how you might search for a book on a well-known online platform at the moment, you search for a fantasy book, you'll get 70,000 search results over however many pages there are. I mean, nobody has the time to be able to scroll through and discover the books that are past page 12 in that kind of search environment. What we see is that AI has the ability to really cut through that noise that's being created through modern search algorithms. It can take away the manipulation in terms of the promoted content that's brought to those people. But what it can also do is slice down to really what you need and a balanced perspective in the kind of reading that you would get as well. So if you think about how Fableration would work, instead of getting 75,000 search results, you might only get 12. Literally because AI is asking you significantly more detailed questions through a natural language processing algorithm that will really seek to find what you're looking for. And it will bring you back what you are looking for, not what someone else wants you to see.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, isn't it? Just this attention economy and the amount of time we're all spending having information shoved down our throats. Can really see if we can spin that around. That'd be a huge benefit. Now, we did want a bit of interactivity today, and I've got a panelist host dream where there's no more questions and I get to ask all my questions, but please feel free. It is a really important topic, and I've got these three experts here to enlighten all of us on this future. Now, a little bit torn about which question to ask. I think I'm just going to keep down the geeky sort of end of the line, and Ryan, you did talk about digital twins, and we are sort of touching on this topic of data as the new oil. Could you just unpack the definition of a digital twin and any views you have on real world asset tokenization, which literally is, creating data as an asset class, and maybe a little bit of an explanation and then some thoughts?
Yeah, you can think of a digital twin as like an agent. There's probably various definitions, but this is kind of how I think of it. It's an agent. It's an artificial intelligent piece of software that's an agent for its identity purposes, and that agent can do things on your behalf with your instruction. It could also be autonomous, depending on how much control you give it, essentially, or how it's designed. But that agent can, in a digital twin context, that's kind of a digital representation of me or an individual or a business. So it knows stuff that I know. It has access to things that I have access to, and I've given it consent to do certain things to assist me. So that's how I think of it in a digital twin context, and then what it does could fall into various categories. It could be kind of a social agent, and it could be doing things on social media for me. It could be a personal assistant type agent, and it could be booking a holiday or booking flights for me based on where I want to travel. So there's these different kind of categories, I think, for those agents or digital twins that you could place in, and you certainly want to have sort of guardrails on what they can do, because we still need to build those feedback loops to make sure that they're performing those things on our behalf that we want them to perform, and with a level of quality as well. So that's kind of how I think of a digital twin. It's someone who's representing me, helping me leverage my own time to do more.
Wonderful, thank you. And we did get another question coming in from the audience, and then we'll just do a wrap up because we've got 3 minutes to go. So maybe a speed date answer from one of the team here. Can the trading of environmental data, I love this topic, from local communities to AI predictive model developers be considered as one of the areas of usage of DLT based platforms? I know what my answer to that is, but Craig or Ryan or Simon, did one of you want to grab that?
Is that environmental data as in the
Yeah,
environment?
environmental data. Yeah, I'd
Oh
say.
yeah, like
Well,
stuff from
buildings and local
yeah, like
communities in general.
yeah. I mean, I think that's certainly a use case because I mean, there's a massive amount of data being spit out from IoT devices, whether it's climatic or energy or whatever it might be. So I think there's a huge opportunity around sort of data marketplaces, for example, and that could be monetization of those anonymous sets, or it could be just the use of that into AI training models as well.
Yeah, great. Okay. And last question from the audience before everyone does a 30-second wrap up. Are we going to be able to control our own lives, like with health decisions, etc.? What a great question. I think Craig might have an answer for that one.
Craig, you're on mute.
You did have an answer. We're
Okay,
just not
so
hearing it.
yeah, that's right. It was a really good answer too. I think that with all the converging technologies, we will control our data. It will, the way that we're going right now, and the other people on the panel are going, we're bringing control in a way that will allow you to control your AI agent. You'll be able to have complete access to your data. You'll have control over it. You'll be able to decide who gets access to it. So right now, everybody gets access to data all over the place. We give it away willy-nilly. That's going to change, I think.
Great. All right. Well, let's do a quick wrap up. Everybody gets, I think, about 15 seconds now. So just talk really quickly. Predictions for the future. What do you want to leave the crowd with today?
I'll go. Get control of your data, or get access to your data, keep control over it, and then have options on how to use that for your personal benefit. I think it's an exciting future.
Right. Amazing. Craig, 15-second mic drop.
I agree with everything that Ryan just said. Get control of your data. Stay in control of your data.
And Simon?
Yeah, I'm just going to flip that on its head when you think about data. There are certain books that follow you around everywhere you go, shops, online, whatever it might be. Think about that next time you go into a shop, and that's why we need to look at data differently.
Amazing. Well, we finished exactly on time. You guys are legends. I really heard that there's new benefits to using data in this decentralized way. We can really improve security. ZK rollups are in for the win. There's AI for good, and all of it convinced me that data is the new oil, and we have finished on time. So thanks very much, guys. And back over to you, Amy Rose.